my background is mostly college student housing. And so the trend in housing right now is to build these super fancy buildings with movie theaters and gyms and this and that, but that obviously drives the cost up of the housing. And I've never thought that that's what CSU students want. They actually, they deserve the world, and their expectations are let's make sure it's affordable and we're great with the basics. So, it's balancing those things out. We want to be this like flagship campus, right? We want to be the leader in all these ways, but we have to make sure that we're providing stuff on campus also affordably. So housing is considering that. Like they know that there's a certain price point that they're not going to go above when they're building housing on campus, because it's not going to meet the needs of our students.
Right, it's going to be empty.
Yeah. Something else we're working on, which I think is going to be beneficial across a number of means, is how do we not waste leftover food from across campus, particularly our dining facilities, because one, there's a sustainability issue with food waste, and it can double up and serve our students. So part of the grant that we just submitted actually is we are also proposing a program where at the end of every meal at the dining halls, there's, following all our health and safety standards, individual boxes would be packaged up for meals, and it would be transported from dining halls to the pantry in a refrigerated truck. And then we'd have a refrigerator or a freezer here where students could come and grab like a boxed meal that would have, I don't know, rice and vegetables and chicken or whatever, like you would get at the dining hall, and it would be a hot meal that could be microwaved, and would be better than some of the options that are available, honestly. In the food pantry would be more nutritious. So that's something I'm really hoping to see, because again, that reduces the waste and increases the nutritious food opportunities for our students. I think the nutritious food is an important part of this conversation. We were just talking about it yesterday. Like, there's granola bars and ramen, and there's just so much processed stuff up there, which is when you have no food, obviously, like one takes what's available, right? And I don't actually believe that our students are picky in that sense. They're grateful for what is available. But when you're thinking about food insecurities, we should also be thinking about nutrition, because vegetables and protein will go much further than high sodium ramen and granola bars that are full of high fructose corn syrup and stuff like that. And so partnering with organizations like farmers markets and stuff like that to provide their leftovers would be a great partnership. There's at UCLA, they have a program where on Sundays they have a farmers market in town, and the students created a program where they go at the end of the farmers market. All the vendors provide them with all the leftovers. Oh, wow. And then they bring it back to the housing community. It's for the apartment community for the graduate students. And then it's a first come, first serve. Each person gets a small bag, and you can't be picky again, right? Like if there's onions and apples, you're getting onions and apples. Maybe there's potatoes, maybe there's some spinach. But it's literally whatever's remaining at the farmers market. And that's the kind of produce that the vendors can't do anything with, right? Farmers market is, the whole point is that it's sold when it's ready to use. So you get it that day, you eat it, you cook it that day, and you're done. Right. It doesn't have a long shelf life. You're purchasing it at its peak freshness.
Right. Is there any other big things that you would want to see happen for you in your vision of this program?
Serving more students, making sure that I think the ultimate goal should be that none of our students are facing any of these challenges, and if they every student should be able to be served. I think on the housing end, we need to work more around identities, because we only offer housing on the gender binary of male and female, and students have to select. The student self-identifies, but there's shared spaces, and so it's plausible that, for example, a student that's transitioning could get kicked out of their house in a family situation or a roommate situation and would need an emergency housing, and we don't really have a great space for a student in that situation. Because they're all shared rooms, and there would just be no privacy offered. So I think that's a big thing we need to kind of figure out for the long run as well.
Okay. Beautiful. What successes have you seen the program experience?
I don't have numbers off the
That's
top of my head, but I can tell you that we're serving more students than ever before. I'm sure you're aware last semester in September when the initial DACA rulings were coming through, the Student Emergency Intervention Program, through funding from the president of the university, we were able to provide renewal fees for students, which was a great program. Through that, while we were providing students with just the $500 to do their DACA renewals, we were able to capture a whole other group of students that needed emergency intervention resources. So we were able to connect them with food, with housing, with emergency grants for other areas that they didn't know. The students just didn't know they existed. So I think that was a huge success. Again, overall, the numbers are just through the roof. And then because I know some of like the individual stories of some of our students, right? It's in a sea of 37,000 students. When you get to see our students like individually succeed at this level, it's incredible. Like it makes a difference. For anybody who doesn't understand why we're providing these types of resources, like our students are incredible and resilient, and these are the things that they're just so grateful for.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. I mean, we've had a lot of students in past semester that were in violent home situations, whether it was their immediate family or if they were with partners. Some of the violence was like amongst their parents and stuff like that, and so I mean, those are individuals whose immediate physical safety is being jeopardized, right? And for them to know that they had a resource on campus that could help get them to a safe place, keep them reasonably in school for a little while was amazing. We had another student recently. This was beautiful. We had a student who used to bike to school from Downey, which is still a solid distance, right? Student's an athlete, and I think he considered it a little bit part of his conditioning, but that was how he got from Downey to campus. And then somebody stole the wheels off his bike, and so for some time he was skateboarding to campus. And because he was skateboarding to campus, he was really and he's an athlete, like he was just depleting all of his calories. And so he was food insecure, he didn't have mode of transportation, and he was practicing all the time. I mean, just like this guy was apparently that. I think his coaches got involved because he was just losing weight so rapidly. Yeah. So we got him connected to our program, and we got him food. That was kind of the easier part, honestly.
Yeah.
But we were able to work with our campus Lost and Found, and they got him a new bike, right? Like they have like a certain period of time where like if you don't claim it after this, I think they just sell this stuff at some point. I don't really know the details.
Right.
They have to keep Lost and Found items for X amount of time, and then afterward it's free game. Yeah. And so we got a bike donated, and so the student is back to biking instead of skateboarding, which was just not. I mean, that's just not a reasonable means of transportation from Downey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But look at the lengths our students go to get to school. That's amazing.
Right. That's really incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
What challenges or barriers have you dealt with?
I don't think our emergency grants are large enough all the time. I think the $500 limit can be very challenging. I think the language I use for this is like the media optics, right? And so like how the media can sometimes spin our program into not being a useful resource. I know the campus faced a situation pretty recently, before I got here, maybe last year, about a student who went to the media saying that they were denied all these resources, but it was because they hadn't met the criteria of having used their financial aid. And so I think the media perception of what's going on, I think, is a very different I mean, the media is always like that, I guess, to some extent, but you have to be careful about how they perceive what's going on.